Welcome back. We're on the Quran. We're starting on verse 132 in the An'am section. To all are degrees or ranks according to their deeds, for thy Lord is not unmindful of anything that they do. Thy Lord is self-sufficient, full of mercy. If it were his will, he could destroy you, and in your place appoint whom he will as your successors. Even as he raised you up from the posterity of other people, all that hath been promised unto you will come to pass. Nor can ye frustrate it in the least bit. Say, O my people, do whatever ye can, and I will do my part. Soon will ye know who it is whose end will be best. In the hereafter, certain it is that the wrongdoers will not prosper. Out of what Allah hath produced in abundance in tilth and in cattle, they assigned him a share. They say, according to their fancies, this is for Allah, and this for our partners. But the share of their partners reacheth not Allah, whilst the share of Allah reacheth their partners. Evil and just is their assignment. Even so, in the eyes of most of the pagans, their partners made alluring the slaughter of their children, in order to lead them to their own destruction, and cause confusion in their religion. If Allah had willed, they would not have done so, but leave alone them in their inventions. And they say that such and such cattle and crops are taboo, and none should eat of them except those whom so they say. We wish further, there are cattle forbidden to yoke or burden, and cattle on which at slaughter the name of Allah is not pronounced. Inventions against Allah's name, soon will he requite them for their inventions. They say, what it is in the wombs of such and such cattle is specially reserved for our food, for our men, and forbidden to our women. But if it is stillborn, then all have shares therein. Wait a minute, is this talking about a pregnant cow that's killed for harvest? You can eat. Women can't eat it. I don't think anyone should eat it. If the cow is pregnant and then you kill it, it's really gross to eat the baby calf. And if the mommy cow gives birth and the calf is dead, you should not eat it, right? If it is stillborn, then all have shares therein. For their false attribution of superstitions to Allah, he will soon punish them, for he is full of wisdom and knowledge. I wonder what they mean. I know y'all will tell me. Stillborn. That means dead. It'd be quite risky to eat a stillborn calf. You never know if it was a parasite that killed it or something. Or malnutrition. Or liver failure. Lost are those who slay their children from folly. Lost are those who slay their children from folly, without knowledge. So slaying, that usually means killing. But how do you kill someone from folly? Folly is like something that has no point. From folly, maybe they mean from folly is the mother is being folly when she kills her kids. Without knowledge. If you do it without knowledge, so being dumb, so your dumb decisions caused your kids to die. And forbid food which Allah hath provided for them. Inventing lies against Allah. They indeed have gone astray and heed no guidance. It is he who produceth gardens with trellises and without, and dates and tilth will produce of all kinds, and olives and pomegranates, similar in kind and different in variety. Eat of their fruit in their season, but render the dues that are proper on the day that the harvest is gathered, but waste not by excess. That's important. For Allah loveth not the wasters. That should be that right there. But waste not by excess. That should be tattooed on people's foreheads. I'm just kidding. But seriously though, it's amazing. Okay, I know it's a little bit thing. But there was a recent study in California on the farms, and they wanted to see how much of the farms wasted their food. They determined that a high percentage, I think it was over 30%, of the crop was wasted. And they asked the farmers, why are you wasting all this food? And the farmer said, well, the markets, if we're under a contract, let's say you have 4 cabbages, small, like extra small, small, medium, large, okay? And then the market says, well, we only want the mediums. No one buys the larges. People don't really care too much about the small, and the extra small just won't sell. So the farmer will only harvest the medium ones and leave the others to rot in the field, because since he's not getting a profit for it, he doesn't want to have to pay labor, agricultural workers to harvest it. And this was a very sad case, because this was common with broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage, different vegetables, obviously. They didn't do, in the report I didn't see them talk about fruit. They specifically talked about veggies that are like, they kind of can spread out, or they kind of have a big lump. And it was really, really sad to see that edible food was simply lying in the field because it wasn't pretty enough, and because the farmer couldn't afford and also didn't want to pay someone to harvest it up. Meanwhile, Yemen, Zimbabwe is going through a famine. There's plenty of people who need that food, but it's getting wasted. Okay, so it says, waste not by excess. Okay, so he doesn't love the wasters, right? I've been having this idea that I don't know why it hasn't been done yet. In the chicken industry, especially in the United States, especially with factory farms, the male chicks are put into a grinder alive, right? Because for some reason, Americans don't want to eat roosters because it's too tough for them to chew. When in reality, let's say you could keep those roosters, like they see their gender. Instead of, literally you can find the video, it's just a grinder. They just plop thousands of chicks every week into a grinder. When we could keep those roosters, and if no one wants to raise them, you can maybe sell them on the market to someone who will sell rooster meat, and you can feed the global south, underdeveloped nations, developing nations, the third world, whatever name politically you want to give to them, to the nations that need this food aid. But rooster meat is fine, right? I mean, just cook it in a soup, you'll be okay. But it is wasteful that a chicken gives you a bunch of eggs and you only keep the females. I mean, it is wasteful. So maybe if we started looking at that, thinking, more along this lines, waste not, want not. This is a very common theme for Native Americans. I believe Buddhists have a very similar tendency. And this is very similar. So why are we all not all on board with this? Okay, let's start again on verse 142. Of the cattle are some for burden and some for meat. Eat what Allah hath provided for you, and follow not the footsteps of Satan, for he is to you an avowed enemy. Facts, family. Take 8 head of cattle in 4 pairs, of sheep a pair, and of goats a pair. Say, hath he forbidden the 2 males, or the 2 females, or the young which the wombs of the 2 females enclose? Tell me with knowledge if ye are truthful. Of camels a pair, and of oxen a pair. Say, hath he forbidden the 2 males, of the 2 females, or the young which the wombs of those 2 females enclose? You can eat a camel, right? In Islam, I've eaten camel. I've had oxtail too. Let's see if you can eat it. Were ye present when Allah ordered you such a thing? But who doth more wrong than one who invents a lie against Allah? To lead astray men without knowledge? For Allah guideth not people who do wrong. I like that one. He doesn't like people who do. Say, I find not in the message received by me the inspiration, any meat forbidden to be eaten by one who wishes to eat it, unless it be dead meat. Yeah, you don't want to eat dead meat. What's, side note, but dead meat, right? So when I did the veganism thing for a while, I got pretty malnourished and I got tired of taking supplements. And some vegans would say like, well, is it okay to eat roadkill because it didn't die on the farm and it wasn't slaughtered, it was just hit by a car? Sometimes I gather, they said this, sometimes I gather roadkill and I try to see if it's still salvageable. And I was thinking to myself, that is very risky. You should not eat roadkill. Doesn't matter how old you think it may be. You have to be super careful because the parasites of some of those super wild animals that maybe have been near garbage, the parasites come out of their bum. And you have to be very careful, especially if you're not an experienced person and knowing how to see inside the organ meats and stuff, if it's good or not. So, man, I'm glad in the Quran, it says don't eat the dead meat because that's common sense. But some vegans, man, they try to find any way they can put meat back in their diet. For it is an abomination, or what is impious meat, on which a name has been invoked, other than Allah's. Okay, so impious meat, so unholy, right? Impious, no, devout, like impious, not permitted, on which a name has been invoked, other than Allah's. So you cannot eat, like, wait a minute. So if someone says, well, if a Christian, like, you know how they say grace? Thank you, Jesus, thank you, Jehovah, some will say, or Yahweh, for this food. Could we argue that the Yahweh, Jehovah, and Allah is the names of like a universal creator? Like, I get it if someone's like, hail Satan and thank you for the Krabby Patty. You can't eat that, obviously. Who would want to? But I just want to make sure, is this verse saying food that is blessed by other faiths? Because I'm trying to think. Okay, a good example, like Hindus, right? So if someone says Krishna or Shiva or Ganesh, right? If you have friends and they do a prayer, what do you do in that situation? What do you do in a social situation? Or is this kind of just referring to kind of weirdos in the woods, who are like doing kind of weird things? I don't know. But another question would be, if you pray over what they prayed over, does that then discount it? Like, if someone goes like, oh, offer this to Odin, and then someone's like, I accept this in the name of Allah. Does their endorsement override your blessing? I'd be very curious to see what you guys say. But even so, if a person is forced by necessity, without willful disobedience, nor transgressing due limits, thy Lord is oft forgiving, most merciful. For those who follow the Jewish law, we forbade every animal with undivided hoof. Undivided. Wait a minute, undivided. Cloven hoof, right? Cloven hoof, like a pig's foot. Got it. Okay, so that's important. So we have to make sure we underline that stuff. And we forbade them the fat of the ox and the sheep, except what adheres to their backs or their entrails or is mixed up with a bone. Okay, so the fat on the sheep. So here's to their backs. So back fat. I'm trying to remember there is Muslims can't have pigs, but I'm just saying there is back bacon and belly bacon. For sheep, it's been a long time since I've examined the sheep's where the fat is exactly. But I know the rib cage for sure has a lot of the fat. The shanks, not so much. Except here's the backs or their entrails. So a sheep heart within that count, because it's an entrail, meaning an organ, and all hearts usually have a certain degree of fat around them. And the tallow fat is good for cooking, lotions, and making candles. So you maybe, is this saying like you can't eat it, but can you use it in lotions and soaps? Or is that still like no? Very curious to know what y'all think. This in recompense for their willful disobedience, for we are true in our ordinances. we're learning a lot. There's a lot of things in here we have to learn. Great, family. We did an excellent job. All of you are amazing. I get so much help from all of you. We're learning. It's awesome.